Okay, hi. Hi, everyone. Okay, cool. So once you're in, drop your location. Where are you at right now?
Good to
Let's
see
go.
everybody.
Yeah, Florida, Orlando. Nice. Georgia, Tennessee. Cool. So many people.
Oh, wow, this is awesome. All over.
That's nice. LA. Wow. We're
Anybody
almost
from Charlotte?
100.
Very
Okay,
cool.
perfect. We're almost 150 here. That's so cool.
I love it.
Okay, and guys, is it your first time watching the webinar on Allcasting? Have you been with us before? Just drop yes or no. Nice, love it. See? See how many active talent we have here.
I know, this is great. A lot of yeses and nos, so it looks like an awesome kind of mix here.
Right. Okay, cool, cool. And maybe just share with us, are you an actor or a model? Which direction are you taking right now? Both. Nice. Acting, both. Perfect. Model. Voice, nice. Singer. I love that. Such a diverse audience today. That's sweet.
I think I saw a dancer. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, I like the way Town combined those, these niche.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
They complement each other very, very often.
Yeah.
Singers, dancers, actors, models.
Yeah, and for the ones who are writing no experience, no worries. That's why we're here. That's why we have invited Dylan to share all the insights, how to get in, how to earn money, even if you're not famous yet. So he'll share everything. Okay, yeah, I think it's time for us to start. So today we have invited Dillon Mann, acting coach, professional actor, and a casting director with a huge, huge experience working with big platforms like HBO. What else do we have? Disney, Fox, Cinemax, and many, many others. So he's the person to ask all those questions that you're so eager to ask. So, and our topic today on how to earn money, even if you're not famous yet. And Dylan has gone all this way himself. That's why he knows the
Yeah.
ABC of those baby steps to take. And yeah, so we're greeting Dylan Mann today. Hi, Dylan, and
Yes.
thank you for joining
Hey.
us.
Thank you so much for having me, Kate. This is such an exciting opportunity. Hello to everybody. Very excited to see people joining from all over. This is super exciting. Yeah, I was really honored to be here today. I have personally been using all casting and kids casting now for several months, and I have really loved the platform. I think I have met so many professional actors, models, singers, and dancers, really multi-talented individuals here. So yeah, really excited to just share some information. I'm looking forward to the Q&A later. As Kate said, I've been acting since probably, I want to say, I started when I was a young kid, but professionally when I was able to start making income right before I graduated from high school. I really dove headfirst into the film industry. So, yeah, I think the big thing, I really loved the topic today, which was, making money being an actor, not being considered famous, right? And I think there is so much work that goes on that we don't always see necessarily in the spotlight, right? And as an actor, especially, and I saw a lot of comments here. There's some people that said, "Hey, I haven't gotten any work yet," or, maybe it's a lot of callbacks, you're not quite getting in the room yet, not quite booking. And the truth is, most of the time, actors are really building their resume before they land a lot of those bigger jobs that you would see when an actor becomes known and more famous, right? And, a lot of the times I've noticed over the last several years, There are a lot of actors, and I get it. As Kate also said, I am a coach. I work with kids, teens, and adults, but I see a lot of actors who aren't always very quick to want to jump in to some of the projects that are not always your mainstream content. But a lot of that is so, so important. And it can also be the thing that helps you pay the rent, right? One of the big, I would say number one big castings, and I actually wrote down a few in my phone that I've personally booked over the years. Um, and some of those, we're going to start with the first one I have here, and that's industrials in corporate training videos. So a lot of the times, a lot of we consider these industrials, which is something that's referred to as a project within a specific industry. It could be something like a training video for Amazon or Lowe's, the hardware store. When you sign on as an employee, and you get a lot of those demo videos and actors are walking through the scene and they're showing you what and what not to do when you accept that job, right? Now, the cool thing is, a lot of people don't always know this, but those corporate jobs can pay really, really well. I have here that the typical pay can be anywhere from 800 to 2,500 a day, depending on the industry and the job you're working for. And I've actually seen castings on All Casting for some of those projects. Now, I think the issue is, and again, I get it. When I was starting off as an actor, that might not have been necessarily the first thing that I went for because in my head, I'm thinking television, feature films, right? Print for those that are in modeling, singing, dancing opportunities. But here's the really cool thing. Those opportunities can help lead you into the bigger roles. So what I always tell actors or anyone who's interested in the industry is don't be afraid to take those opportunities. Anything that gets you on a professional set where you can network, you can meet other, producers, you meet other actors. Sometimes they're shooting their own content. Those are the ways to receive income, build your resume, and so that you can get to those bigger jobs. And so I always tell people don't be afraid to do some background. Don't be afraid to do the industrial corporate videos. A couple other projects, I mentioned a few. And simulation acting, there's a lot of medical and scientific simulation acting where you're the patient and they're shooting videos and they're pretending to do certain procedures, right? Sometimes you're awake, sometimes you're asleep. You could say that is still in line with those um, that particular type of booking, which again, we consider those to be our industrials. Anything that's commercial, a lot of commercial actors make really good money. I worked with a client once. He was 11 years old. He went on to do a lot of big things, but he ended up doing a national Coca-Cola commercial for the Super Bowl. And I think he made like 80 or 90 grand. And, he was like 11 years old. Um, and at first, his mom didn't, love all the commercial auditions. They really wanted to focus on TV and film. But that commercial allowed him to network and have a really nice credit on his resume, which projected him in a really good direction. So I would say when it comes to not quite being famous and still making income, don't turn away the projects that you think are not the Hollywood image because I can promise you there's actors who put that work in for years and they finally land those bigger gigs, but they're consistent, they stay motivated, and they're not afraid to get on set, right? Assuming the project is safe and it makes sense, it's in line with what you want to do when it comes to those types of industrials, commercials. So that would be my best advice because that is something I have seen time and time and time again allow people to take those bigger steps. So when you're on all casting or kids casting for those under 18, don't just focus on the biggest projects available. Really allow yourself to go through and find anything that fits your age range or your playing range, right? Find the jobs that give you an opportunity because I promise that is where you can start to really find those bookings and acquire that success as an actor.
Right. Yeah, I think that's the biggest reason why talent, newcomers become disappointed and leave because they're
Yep.
expecting to be hired for Netflix just on
Yep.
second week, you know? But that's the thing. You have to start with smaller steps. And since you've been with all casting for a long time, casting your project, looking for talent, so how should talent stand out, even for these industrial gigs? What should they do? I mean, how the profile should look, the images,
Yes.
what should they say about themselves, skills. I mean, if you're a
Yep.
newcomer, you don't have that background, but
Yep.
you want to get in. So how should the profile should look so that you would, have a look and say, oh, I need her, I want her.
Yep. That's a perfect question, Kate, and I think that that's so important because what a lot of actors don't realize is when you don't have that resume, right? When you don't have the demo reels, the first thing a casting director typically goes off of is your headshot. Your headshot really is the first audition. It's the first step in that audition, right? So I always encourage everyone when you're starting off, you want to give yourself as much of the professional material as you can because again, that's the first impression, right? It's kind of like when you think about dressing nice for an interview. Your headshot is your first interview. So when it comes to your professional material, a good headshot is almost a must. And there are so many options out there when it comes to finding a headshot, an acting headshot photographer. Um, you know, as far as pricing and things like that goes, generally speaking, you can get a decent headshot session anywhere from about $300 to $500, depending on what market you're in. But what I tell people to think about is that headshot could very easily lead you to a job where you'll make two or three times the money back for that headshot session that you took. And that headshot session, you can use headshots for years, right? The rule of thumb is if you start to obviously majorly change from that headshot, yeah, it's good to update those headshots, and I always recommend that to actors. But having a good headshot and even a good, as far as a slate shot goes, I think it's important to have a quick introductory or a quick introduction slate where you can show your personality, your enthusiasm. I think that a lot of the times when you don't have that experience, actors are booked based off their willingness to work and their confidence, their enthusiasm. Are they excited? Do they seem like someone who's easy to work with on set? So if you can provide a very quick slate shot where you say, "Hey, my name's Dillon Mann. I'm 5'10" and I live in Charlotte, North Carolina." And then you give a nice little bio of who you are and what your goals are as an actor. You want to be able to extend that. And, within a reasonable amount of time, I always say, 10 to 20 seconds, a really good slate shot. That way casting can really get through those quickly. But a nice headshot, maybe a good slate shot where you'd put that in your media section of your platform. Um, and then when you get those opportunities, usually there's a section for things like, submission notes or casting notes. Thank the casting director for their time and a very quick, just, hey, thank you for your consideration. There's a lot of little, small, quick professional things you can do to extend that and to show that you're eager and this is something you want to do. But I have seen a good, clean, professional headshot time and time and time again become that night and day difference for an actor.
Dylan,
Because
can I just
yes,
interrupt you? I
please,
think
please
I
jump
think
in.
do you feel comfortable turning off the background because it makes your face look blurry, at least from my
Sure,
side, so that
sure.
our talent will
Yeah,
see you much better.
of course. Let's see. Let me see how to do that here
Just
because I
have a look, yeah.
believe. Oh,
Or
did
maybe
that do
just
it?
um
Let's
maybe
see. Are we
yeah, I
good
don't know.
now? Is that better?
Oh, now it's better. I
Yep.
think I think it's a matter of focus.
You
Yeah,
said
because
blurry again today.
yeah.
Maybe. Okay, let's see. Yeah, usually, let me try one quick thing here.
Okay.
Yep. Sorry about that, guys. Let's get that fixed. Yes, I do see that that is a bit blurry here. Let me see what's going on with that. You said if you move back, it's better. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't at one point. It got better, but I don't know if it's
Gotcha.
a matter of internet connection or
Oh, it's
camera.
odd because let's see here. Let me do a quick unplug. We'll plug it right back in. Yeah, this one time. All right. Hopefully that did that fix us there.
We don't see you. Oh,
All right.
now we
How about
see you.
now?
Don't move. Oh, now it's gone. Now it's better.
Okay,
Don't move.
perfect. I'll try not to move too much. I'll stay
Don't
very
breathe.
still.
Don't
Yeah.
breathe. Don't move. Just talk. Just talk.
Perfect. I won't move too much. I'm very animated. Thank you guys. Sorry about that. All right, we're
Oh,
back. We're
I'm
back.
sorry. I'm sorry for interrupting you. Can you
No,
continue
no.
your thought?
Yes, thank you for letting me know that. Um, oh, great. Yes, thank you guys. Sorry about that, everyone. All right. So let's see. Where was I? I know we were going over the professional material there. So, yes, when it comes to yes, thank you, Joey. Yeah, that 10 to 20 seconds is very vital. So again, the professional headshot, the 10 to 20 second slate shot, those are the things that are going to get you in the room. So it's okay. Don't stress. Don't worry if you don't necessarily have all of the other material. The headshot, I promise you, if you get with a good headshot photographer, make sure they're a headshot photographer. There are a lot of people who say that, um, you know, oh, I don't know who to shoot with. If you communicate what you need, make sure to look at their work. But there's usually a lot of willing photographers in the area.
Yeah, but still, as an option, I mean, the cell phone, if you have a good lighting, I mean, or someone can help you with it just as a start.
Yes, absolutely. Because the thing is, yeah, if you have a good, and I tell everyone, I always recommend a good backdrop. You can get a good backdrop on Amazon for, for 30, 40 bucks. I always say get a blue backdrop. You want to be careful of like green screens. But yeah, get a good blue backdrop. Get some LED panels or a good ring light. Use a tripod, use your phone. You can absolutely get some phenomenal pictures. And the cool thing is, with today's phones, like if you shoot in portrait mode, it gives it that nice sort of blurred effect, blurred background, really focuses on the face. That can absolutely get you by when it comes to a good picture. I would just say be careful of like a selfie, right? Like you don't want to be outside in the woods doing a selfie and it just looks very busy. But as Kate said, yes, if you have good lighting, ring light, LED panels, blue backdrop, you can get all that on Amazon. And yes, shoot with your phone. Maybe have someone on the other side that can kind of help, guide the picture there. And the big thing too is make sure to have some diversity in your pictures. I think it's important that, we don't do the same face in every picture. Change your wardrobe. Think about different characters that you see yourself playing. So make subtle choices. The big thing with headshots, like obviously if you're going for, I know I had a guy who came in, no joke. I do self tapes for people, and I had a client come in, and his audition was for a SWAT team member. He had a helmet on and glasses and all these things, and I could hardly see his face. And I'm like, well, I was like, we want it to complement the audition, not distract, right? So it's the same thing with your headshots, but think about different character looks and dress for those looks. In your headshot, you want the casting director to see you for that role, right? So that would be my best advice for that.
Right, right. Okay, so we need headshot, a good one with the good lighting. But how about the gigs? How many times a day, a week, a month should I apply for them? So in order to get noticed, should I track them? Should I check in, like get online on all casting and check for new posted casting calls, not to miss any like opportunities? How often do you do it, or did you do it in the past when you were a newcomer as well? So, what advice can you give us?
That's a fantastic question. So the truth is, and there's a lot, and I was guilty of it too. I like to always be honest. A lot of us that have agents or don't have agents, right? When we use a platform, all casting is phenomenal for this. There's new posts coming out every day. If you are serious about getting on set, I tell my actors self-submit daily. Get on all casting, kids casting, submit daily because there are so many gigs that are constantly being posted. And, some people say, oh, maybe, I'll check in once a week or twice a week. Some of these posts, they have really quick turnarounds. And, if 100, 200 people submit, sometimes casting directors find who they're looking for within those couple of days where that breakdown comes out. They may have an extension where, or they may have the breakdown. It lasts for 2 or 3 weeks. A lot of the times, the first people to submit an audition are usually picked because they're submitting within a timely manner. There are times where, yeah, sometimes it's the last person to audition a week from when the post comes out. But generally speaking, they say the early bird gets the worm. So check daily, stay consistent. And for a lot of the actors who have agents and they're like, I'm just going to let my agent submit me, a good agent will tell you you should still be self submitting. You should still self submit because your agent doesn't submit you for every single thing that comes available to us in the world. There's certain things that comes across their desk, and if you fit it, yeah, they're going to submit you. But regardless, agent or not, you should submit daily. And it's something, even if you set a reminder, I've some of my teens that I work with, and I'm helping them they're going to be 18 soon, and I'm helping them start to take that initiative. I say set a reminder on your phone once a day. Maybe it's as soon as you wake up, make a cup of coffee, have your morning breakfast, sit down, go through the breakdown, see what fits you, because you want to be some of the first to turn that submission in. So that would be my advice. Check it daily and don't stop. You have to keep that consistency.
Yeah, right. So basically, how often should a talent check their inbox if they want to land a paid gig? Because
Yes.
the reason I'm asking is that our casting directors are writing me and saying, "Hey Kate, I've messaged hundreds of talent and
Yep.
they're not responding." And the
Yep.
question is, do you want to get that job? So if yes, then yes, please, you need to answer to the messages. You need to answer those emails. So question to you, have you ever missed a job because you didn't answer that email on time?
Yes, I have. I personally, I have, and I have had tons and tons and tons of clients who miss opportunities because they're not checking their inbox. And unfortunately, I've heard the whole I didn't get a notification, I didn't see the email notification. As an actor, it's our job and our responsibility, regardless of, oh, my email didn't tell me to check my inbox. We should be checking our inbox daily. When you submit for something, you should always follow up. So if you submit, if you know you've been self-submitting, you need to be checking your inbox because technology isn't perfect. Sometimes there's been times I've sent emails to people and they haven't received my emails. So what we need to do as a backup plan as actors is we need to be self-sufficient and motivated, and we need to remind ourselves to check our inbox. So I would say check that daily. I've missed opportunities. I've had clients that have missed opportunities because they simply just didn't check. And a lot of those actors are the ones who are super hungry and they want to get on set and they miss those. So, don't get burned out. You have to stay positive and you have to set those goals for yourself. So, again, even if you're setting 2 reminders a day, one is to submit, another is maybe at the end of the day, check your inbox and see if anybody's reached out to you. So,
Right.
it's very important.
Yeah. So, and getting back to those payments, basically, so how much can one gig basically pay for the role? If it's industrial, if it's commercial, maybe it's a paid ads video reel for Instagram, or it's a feature film. Can you tell us this
Sure.
breakdown on
Yep.
pricing?
Absolutely. So obviously, we have projects that are non-union and then we have projects that are union. So any project that and regardless of the status, right? Non-union, union, there I've worked some of my favorite projects have been non-union projects. But yeah, I mean the pay can really vary drastically. To give some examples, I've seen some of my young teen and adult clients as well do some local commercials anywhere from 350, 400 a day. Sometimes they're booked 2 or 3 days at a time. And then again, to kind of use one of my clients, Pierce, as an example, he was paid I think it was $85,000 for a national Coca-Cola commercial. And I think it was a 1 day shoot. He was 11 years old. So, I mean, I think that, the opportunities are there. As far as feature films go, depending on if you're a day player or if you're contracted weekly, if it's episodic, and you're being paid, through those episodes, I have seen, I've seen actors make a pretty penny. Especially, I worked with Danny McBride for years. I was in Vice Principals, which was an HBO show, and it's public knowledge, it's out there. But Danny McBride, as an example, he was making, I want to say, 100,000 per episode, and it was 2 seasons, and I believe it was 8 or 9 episodes a season. So, he was definitely making some good money there. So, there is a scale. So anytime you work something that is union, you are guaranteed a specific payment, legally speaking. Even for your non-union agreements, I've seen some really fantastic paid gigs that were non-union. Buyouts are also something that are fantastic because let's say you book a commercial and it's for, if anyone's familiar with Food Lion. Food Lion's a grocery store brand company. If you book that commercial for Food Lion, you may get, maybe $1,200 for that day of shooting, but the buyout is an additional payment because what they're doing is they're saying for 1 to 2 years, we're using your image for this company. We're paying you an additional payout to use this for 1 to 2 years, right? Depending on what the agreement is. When you're looking at things like TV, you have something that's known as residuals. Every time that television episodic or episode airs, you are then paid residuals because they're re-airing the episode. So, the money that can come from these opportunities can be extremely lucrative, which kind of goes back to that original point about, putting in that work can definitely pay off. And sometimes it comes with booking those smaller gigs, the industrials, the demo practice videos, things like that can set you up to book those gigs. And I've seen it happen for so many people.
Right. And we have this question about student film. One of the comments is
Yes.
asking, is it worth of my time because they don't pay?
Yes.
What's your take on this?
1,000%. I will tell anybody when it comes to a student film, and I know some of you might raise an eyebrow when I say this. Truly, truly, a demo reel can be so much more important than a day rate. And by day rate, I mean being paid for your time as an actor. That demo reel footage that you receive from that student film can be the footage that lands you a big project. A lot of the times casting directors look for individuals who have a demo reel, which a demo reel is examples of your work. So if you do that student film and they say, hey, the payment is, we're going to feed you on set, but we're going to send you your footage. 1,000% you should take that opportunity because demo reels, if you were to pay a company that shoots demo reels, they can be very expensive, like in the thousands to shoot a professional scene where everything's lit correctly. They write your scene, they pair you up with an actor, they do all the editing, right? They help you, promote the reel. You're getting a free reel. Yes, you're working on set, but that reel is totally worth. And as a starting actor, I promise you, it's more important than that initial day rate that you would receive for something like that. So, yeah, if you get a student film opportunity, any kind of local work and demo reels, and they say we're going to send you your footage, that is what made a difference for me. I did student films. I did a lot of the free work because I received reels that I was able to put on my casting sites, like All Casting, because that's what casting directors are looking for, right? The good headshot, the slate shot. If you have a demo reel, huge plus. So I hope that answers the question. And I saw how do I get demo reels? Yeah, from Laura. Yeah, so booking those student films, booking those local projects, because a demo reel is simply just a copy of your work. So if somebody were to say, Dillon, send me your demo reel, that would be me sending a scene from a show I did or a scene from a student film that I did, right? So that is your demo reel. So I would almost say mandatory if you get that opportunity, take it. Yeah.
Right, right. And there is also this situation when trained actors are sitting at home without any gigs coming in, and
Yep.
unknown actors are earning money. Because
Yep.
even on all casting, with all the smaller gigs, talent are coming back to me and say, like, hey, Kate, I did this, I did that. And then by the end of the month, he's already considering leaving his full-time job. for acting job. So, have you seen this in your practice?
Yeah, no, that's really huge. And with today's world of being so socially like social media is such a big thing nowadays. There are so many opportunities, like when you're the unknown actor, you're working through kind of, not getting those gigs, those bookings. There's so many things you can do, even utilizing your social media. I have a student who, and this is just an example. I'm not saying this will work for every single person, but I had a student who did an escape room and tagged the escape room in an Instagram post, right? Now, because their Instagram showed them where they had pictures where they were auditioning, right? They had stuff on their social media of them doing self tapes. They didn't, put the self tape on their Instagram for legal reasons, but they had some really cool screenshots of them in front of their backdrop. The escape room saw their page and said, "This looks like somebody who is an actor or is attempting to be an actor." And they reached out to them and let them come and be a part of the escape room. And they shot a reel for the escape room. They came out and they paid them. They did the escape room for free. They received compensation. And now they're collaborating with a local company that, attracts a lot of people. So if there are things that we, can or can't do as an actor, sometimes the question kind of comes back to us on what are things we can do to help promote ourselves and get out there, right? For the working actor. So I would say use your social media to your advantage. I always say, and I'm careful about how I say this, but we've all heard the saying, fake it till you make it, right? But when you're starting off as an actor, don't think that you can't post yourself. Uh, at home reading a script, reading a monologue, creating the online presence that this is your craft and this is something you take seriously. Companies, different people, casting directors, they see that because they look at your Instagram. Don't think that casting directors don't do a quick little search. If Disney is about to pick you up for a project, they will do a little investigation. If you're up for the role and they're thinking, this might be our new Lilo, right? Lilo and Stitch. Don't think they don't go and see if she has social media, because if she does and she's posting offensive, really crazy things, they might say, "Oh, we want to be careful we don't associate that with Disney." It's the same thing in a positive way. If you're promoting yourself, if you're lifting yourself up, you're taking pictures and videos and you're putting on, um, you know, your Instagram that you're working, you're acting, you're working on your craft, you're creating that presence. And those are the things that, as the unknown actor, will give you that boost because you're creating that professional presence online.
Right, right, perfect. And so basically, I think we're getting ready to get the Q&A session started. So, what's your one advice for talent to start doing today in order to start, landing paid gigs? What should they, I mean, leave this webinar and start doing? What is that one thing?
I would say invest in yourself, and not just in the sense of financially, but invest in yourself and set goals, because the actors that say I'm going to set a game plan and I'm going to stick to it and I'm going to follow it are the ones who become successful time and time again. So if you have been caught in the slump of it all, you feel like, oh, it's like I want to do it, but we have to ask ourselves the question of, am I really putting in 100% of the effort that I possibly can? So if there's one thing that you take from today's webinar is like invest in yourself, even if that's just in your time. Invest your time, because it will pay off and it will be something that others will pick up on and see. If it's your social media, if it's taking pictures of yourself in front of your backdrop, if it's tagging brands every time you go somewhere and you have a nice meal and you want to take a fun picture and tag the restaurant, getting good pictures, having a friend take those good pictures for you in front of your backdrop. And if you're taking photography with your phone, there's no reason why you're not getting as many pictures as possible. Try different images, right? Dress different characters, go for different looks. Reinvent yourself. If you're stuck in that slump, maybe try a new style, try some new clothes, right? Do a different style in your headshots, maybe something a little more edgy. Having the range is the thing that's going to help you get yourself out there and work. So my number one I guess, kind of motivational thing here is invest in yourself, set goals, set daily goals. When, you have people that work out at the gym, they don't just kind of willy-nilly show up here and there. They set goals, right? They change their diet. They show up to the gym at certain times. They rotate. Some days are cardio, some days are weightlifting. As an actor, it's no different. We have to set those goals, and you have to invest in yourself because I think we're all worth it here, right? I mean, this is something we're all passionate about and something we all love. There's no reason why we don't give 110% each day to do this. So I hope that helps.
Right. Cool. Yeah, I think we can start now because I see there are just questions coming in. Guys,
Sure.
if you want your question to be answered by Dylan, please drop your questions in the Q&A window, Q&A chat, and we will pick the top interesting questions and answer them live.
Perfect.
Um, let's see. Let's see. Yeah, there are many questions about social media. How about
Uh-huh.
this one from Jason? How necessary is to have a large social media following to be attractive to producers and book gigs?
Yeah, that's a great question. So to be completely honest, the only time that having a big follower count really, in my opinion, and I've heard this from a lot of agents and casting directors, it's not as important as you would think, having a big follower count. Now, if you're doing reality television or, you're doing something that kind of they like for that talent to have a bit of a following already because it's sort of based around that identity of that bigger follower, that bigger presence, then like, yes, it can make a difference. For your commercials, your television, episodics, feature films, industrials, they could honestly care less about your follower count. They're looking for raw talent. If you give a good audition, if you invest, again, going back to that, if you've invested in yourself, you've got good pictures, headshots, your audition is clean, it's professional, you're really going for that role and you're putting your heart into it, you could have 10 followers and book a huge, huge role on I see people all the time who don't have social media who book. Now I will say I think I saw one thing and I'm kind of answering that already, so I'll pick up on that. Someone said I got rid of my social media. I do think in today's time you need to have some sort of social media. If it's an Instagram, a Facebook for professional reasons, we're just kind of at that point in time. For some people, I would say, unfortunately, that's just the way it is. You have to have social media, but your follower count is not going to be the thing that keeps you from getting booked when it comes to commercials, feature films, television.
So, do
Yeah.
you keep this social media as one profile for your personal life and acting modeling life, or it should be two different accounts?
I think it depends on what you're looking to do, but I say the rule of thumb is if you're someone who's very loud, and by loud, I mean you love to just show every little thing about your life, what you had for dinner, what day trip you're taking tomorrow. I don't think it hurts to have two different accounts. If you have one that is strictly your acting side, because if a casting director were to come and sort of quickly want to just get a quick idea of who you are and what you don't want them to necessarily have to scroll through thousands and thousands of random pictures. If you have a professional social media page that becomes more of your online presence, it's a good idea to prioritize your actor or model or singer, dancer, singer page because that's what you want the casting director to be able to jump on and see. It looks professional, it's clean, and it's a good way to keep your personal life, even though they become the same thing sometimes, but to keep your hobbies and your fun things kind of to the side and your professional acting part of what you do on its own separate page, I think can be very beneficial.
Right. And I see also from the chat and from Q&A, there are several questions about an agent. So
Mhm.
basically, how soon should you look for an agent?
Yeah.
If like how many gigs should you apply for in order to start thinking about getting an agent, and actually do you need one? If for example on all casting you can apply for gigs,
Yep.
get in contact with casting director directly in on the
Yep.
platform via the messages or emails or calls. Basically, if you're capable of managing yourself
Yep.
like all the flows, casting, like all the submissions and stuff, do you actually need an agent?
So that's one of many reasons why I really love all casting, kids casting, because the thing is, no, you don't have to have an agent. And we're in a lot of ways, there's a lot of talks about, will we even ever get to a point where things like all casting are sort of the main way of just getting jobs and opportunities? I think for a while longer, yes, we're going to definitely have agencies and things like that, managers. But the truth is, I'll give two examples. I have clients who are signed with an agency, but 95% of the work comes from things they self-submit on. I also have clients who are signed with agencies, and the majority of the work is work their agent sends them. So I think it really depends. You do not have to have an agent to get work. That's why all casting is great because, yeah, you can really just network and connect straight away, right away with that casting director. So the truth is, I like to tell people to get a couple bookings under your belt. And, it could be the student films. It could be content that you and your friends have shot. I would say, do your best to make it as professional as you can. I mean, there's YouTube videos that help you setting up like how to film a fun, like little professional video at home. But having some content together, good headshots, a couple bookings, student films, self-made content, whatever it may be, self-produced. Setting up yourself, to have that nice resume and then present it to agents. So I think, if you're training's really important, submitting daily, but doing all these things, I think within a 6 to 12 month period, if you've really worked on this and you've created your resume, you've gotten those headshots and you've gotten a couple bookings or you've done stuff from yourself, at that point, I think it's a good idea to submit to some agencies and kind of see what bites you get, right? But just know that there's a lot of working actors who are completely self-represented, right? They're just freelancing. They don't have an agent. So if you don't have an agent, don't think that you're in a bad area or place as an actor, professionally speaking. Because again, I have a lot of clients who book without that self-submit. And all casting has so many opportunities. So hopefully that answered that question there.
Yeah, I think perfectly. And I think I'll just grab one last question. We've discussed the headshots, and now there's the question about the self-tape. Basically,
Uh,
let's see. Kenzie is asking, when a casting director watches a self-tape from an unknown international actor, what makes them stop and think, I want to see more of this person? And let's just remind everyone that just self-tape, you submit one for, while you're auditioning for the role. And those are, I don't know, 2, 3 seconds that you can grab attention. So can
yep.
you please share?
100%. Yeah, that's a phenomenal question. So here's the truth. And this is one thing I work on with my clients, my students, because I do a lot of coaching sessions. The number one thing is, and a lot of actors, this is the biggest mistake a lot of the times that's made, is first of all, the dialogue is not the most important thing when it comes to your audition. So a lot of people think I'm gonna just study the lines, and that's the big thing they focus on. But the casting director is gonna hear hundreds of people read the same lines. It's really truly the person who just lives in the moment, who's not afraid to really show something that sparks their interest. When you're reading a script and something speaks to you, you should follow that gut feeling and don't think because the focus is I need to make sure that when I'm reading the script that it's word for word for word for word and I hyper focus on the dialogue that I forget to live in the moment and express myself as that character and make some choices, even if it's something really subtle with TV and film, we don't want to be too theatrical. We want to keep things subtle and grounded. But they can tell, casting directors can tell when someone's living in the moment and truly experiencing that scene versus just simply regurgitating the lines. So the biggest thing is to stand out is to live in the scene and don't hyper focus on the dialogue, right? Yes, we want to get that dialogue as clean as we can, but as actors, right? Sometimes it's the little tiny ad lib that an actor does, right? The small ad lib that kind of allows them to bring something into the scene that captures a casting director's attention. And they're like, wow, they really did something right there. And it was respectful to the writing, right? It made sense. It was relevant. It wasn't some improv random crazy thing, but they experienced the scene, something came to them and they showcased it in their self tape. I think that is the thing that can really capture casting's eye because they see the same thing over and over and over. And it's that person who does something just a little bit different, who's experiencing it very organically. So that would be my answer to that.
Right. Okay. Great. I think we're done for today. And it was a super inspiring session. Dylan, thank you
Yeah,
so much for all the charisma that you've shared with us. And I see the talent
absolutely.
are there just all excited. I'm pretty sure they will get online, that they will get on all casting and start thinking how their headshots look. How about the reels and everything, just getting prepared for those paid gigs when those arrive their direction. So thank you so much again, and
Thank
guys,
you, Kate. Yeah.
let's thank Dylan for joining us, sharing all the insights, all the tips. I'm sure that soon all the paid gigs will knock on your door. Just be prepared, and as Dylan
Yep.
said, stay active, continue posting, prepare your profile, just and land those gigs without the payment, but then you create your portfolio, you create those reels, and you
Yep.
show casting directors that you're serious about this profession, and just follow your dreams.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you so much. This has been such a fun time. I love the industry. Everybody stay positive, keep going. All casting is a great platform. I've seen so many opportunities come from it. I do actually all of my personal project castings through All Casting and Kids Casting. It's been a great platform for me on the casting side. My social media is out there as well. If you guys ever want like just a kind of easy, quick example of just things to post, you guys are welcome to check that out. But yeah, stay with it. Keep self submitting. And hopefully I'll be back at some point to do some more. So thank you all so much. This has been a lot of fun.
Right. Thank you so much, and bye everyone. See you on the next webinar.
Take
Bye.
care.